This is Create the Next from ProCFO Partners, where every week we explore strategies and ideas for financial management and growth to help today's businesses put their financial picture in context.
Welcome back to Create the Next. I'm Chris Bintliff, and Martin Cunningham is with us today. And Martin, I'm looking forward to our conversation because we're talking about, I guess, the shifting sands of the supply chain right now in manufacturing.
That's right.
We've got
Thanks for having me.
all kinds of extracurriculars going on, and I'm really curious what you're seeing. You know, I like to move past hype and headlines, and what are you seeing, like in the conversations you're having with your clients? What's going on, and help us to kind of navigate our way through the decisions we can make to get through this. So, welcome, and just kind of level set for us. What's happening in manufacturing right now?
Well, there's a lot going on, and thank you for having me as well. Just starting out with, kind of the backdrop, about a year ago around this time, supply chains were really constrained and logistics were really being disrupted with, shipping issues and ports being blocked and things like that. And what we're seeing this year is not necessarily back to normal, but certainly headed in that direction, which is good. So you see manufacturing times, lead times, supply chain speeds improve from a year ago with a little bit of runway left to go. But as far as the challenges that are there's costs, there's labor markets, there's a lot of different layers to this. So we can kind of parse that down as the conversation goes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And it's interesting, as you say, we're kind of back to normal. We emerge into a normal where the cost of capital is crazy, and where the labor market is fascinatingly constrained. So talk to me first, I guess let's work backwards from kind of logistically. What's happening? What are some of the disruptions that are happening, I guess, technologically and logistically? And how are those two, I guess, combining? Or what's going on that either one, I should be ready for this disruption, or two, I'm not taking advantage of something new or improved that I might not be aware of?
Certainly insights. We'll see about the advice. With the advent of artificial intelligence, a lot of the manufacturing processes are being automated and done through artificial intelligence or robotics rather than done manually or with the labor force. And that's creating, that's part in response to the tightening labor markets. And partly due to global competition. So right now, with inflation and material costs increasing at rates that we haven't seen in generations, right now companies are looking for ways to remain competitive and keep costs low. Artificial intelligence is certainly at the top of that list, which is probably why it's such a big buzz at this particular point in time. So with the advent of technology and artificial intelligence, it's creating disruptions in the labor market. It's creating disruptions in logistics at the ports, at the manufacturing facilities, and it's creating a dynamic or a change in that dynamic that we just haven't seen, and the magnitude is just astronomical.
How can I be using AI? So what are some of the things that are happening where AI is concerned? The hype and headlines with AI are really interesting, but can limit our thinking a little bit, I think, sometimes, especially where manufacturing is concerned. That, I don't know, it has more to do with creation of content or materials rather than of prognostication, of forecasting, of even resource allocation and things like this. What are ways that I should be, if I'm leading a manufacturing outfit, if I'm slow on the uptake with this AI stuff, what should I be doing to kind of catch up? Or how can I be starting to think about this in my organization?
Well, it's certainly the application of AI is probably just as important as what AI actually is, because as you mentioned, the uses can range from forecasting and analytics to the procedures and the precise nature of the manufacturing process from a quality perspective, from a testing perspective. There are different ways that artificial intelligence can kind of dive into that information at the molecular level and be able to identify certain patterns and certain anomalies that the human eye, the human process really can't detect. So from industries like pharmaceuticals or healthcare to software technology applications to almost anything, artificial intelligence can permeate throughout any industry, any process, and as well as from if you're looking at it from a matrix perspective, as well as any function. So that's why it's different, is because there's so many layers and dimensions to artificial intelligence that affect the outcome of a particular product, affect the outcome of a particular business or industry. So it is revolutionary in many ways.
How are these things? Several things: the technology, the aspect, the shifts in the labor market where technology can intersect with that. But how is that impacting pricing from where you sit, and how is that? I'm always thinking about the downstream and the upstream effects of wherever I sit in the supply chain as a manufacturer. How do I adjust to that? So are my costs going up, and so I'm having to adjust that? Are my is the supply chain constraints, even if they're loosening them up, impacting my ability to serve my customers so that I am required to do what? Just talk to me a little bit, I guess, not just pricing, but even the customer relationship. How is that changing or shifting from what we've been so used to for so long?
The customer relationship or the artificial intelligence in the application?
The customer relationship. I'm thinking about how all these things are intersecting and changing how I do business.
Got it. So, the customer relationship is very different today. I mean, on the retail side, the brick and mortar stores are shuttering completely. It's everything is online and home delivery, and with that comes a completely different delivery model, as well as logistics and supply chain in terms of packaging and delivery. So the customer today is very different than it was even 10, 15 years ago, let alone a generation ago. As far as pricing is concerned, all those things are being factored into the price of delivery, the price of packaging, and then of course recycling methodology with the boxes and plastics and things like that. So everything factors into the cost of making and delivering the product, and that in turn is being passed along to the consumer. So the consumer ultimately is at least at this point, interested in desiring that type of service, that type of delivery, and is willing to pay for it. That may change over time, but at least at this point, it's been moving in that direction.
Okay, I think that there can be, and it's not intentional, there's no fault or blame, but there can be a complacency with a status quo. So we can just be used to our customers behaving in a certain way for so long that our business model, our revenue model is designed around it, and we can be slow to adjust when there are shifts like this. What should I be doing to better understand either that end user and how it's impacted by what I'm doing, but also my customer in that process? What are some ways that I can be better understanding what's going on with them now? I mean, do I just pick up the phone and talk about, like, what are you dealing with so that I can better respond? Or is it that simple? Or what are ways that I can better understand my customers so that I can reverse engineer how I should be changing my business?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the fundamentals. I mean, I think if you try and infer and apply some sort of logic, at least on the human side, the AI side might be a different story. But, I think getting to know your customer and having those conversations and getting out, customer facing is very important. So, rather than just trying to put logical components together and say, well, the globally, it looks like people want to have their product delivered at home, and but where are the specifics, right? Maybe certain products are, maybe certain products aren't, maybe certain demographics are and certain demographics aren't. So market research and understanding who your customer is and what their expectations are from a price perspective, from a delivery perspective, from a performance perspective, rather than just making blanket assumptions. And I think that in today's world, it's easy to fall into that trap because things are moving so fast that you can only gather so much information at one particular time before it becomes obsolete.
And which is fascinating. I mean, we're at a breakneck speed. I think thinking about that, and I'm continuing to think about AI in this conversation. I read somewhere, and I like this, and I repeat it often. AI might not take your job or your customers, but the company who knows how to use AI might. And I like that. When you're thinking about the team around a manufacturing, organization, what shifts in hiring or in hiring strategies should I be thinking about? Not just for right now, but a year or 5 years from now or 10 years from now. How should I be evolving? This is the team we've always had who have been always good at these things. Do we need to be starting to shift to bringing in a different level of expertise or energy or specialty so that we are better leveraged to just do these things and not just respond to these things?
Yeah, I think that when you're looking at the changing labor force, the changing expectations of the customer or consumer, I think that it's important as you're looking at your team of associates to look at the skill set and making sure that you have a diverse skill set, both top to bottom, left to right, from a leadership down to the associate level, from one function to another. It's important to understand what or assess what talent you have, what skill sets you have, and what you need, and to fill that gap. Where maybe our parents, were had the same job and did the exact same thing for 30, 40 years. I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. I think that as professionals, we have to continue to grow, evolve, and change from that level, and be able to adapt to the new technology and the new applications of certain intelligence, certain changes in the marketplace. So I think it's imperative for us to respond to that rather than be reactive to it.
Martin Cunningham is at ProCFO Partners, and I always love these conversations with you, Martin, because they're so wide-ranging, but they always kind of, for me, funnel down into, and therefore it's going to impact your ability to do business in this way. And I think we've touched on a couple of really interesting topics with this. And I'm looking forward to having you back in the future. I think we got to unpack this AI thing a little bit more, and I think it's going to be interesting to see, I guess, how inflation continues to move, how the labor market continues to move, and how that impacts things as you're seeing it. Thanks for being with us today. Appreciate all of your guidance and insight.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching, and a special thanks to our subscribers. Consider becoming one today. Visit ProCFOPartners.com for more strategies and ideas for financial management and growth to help you put your business's financial picture in context.